These are squishy. These are some squishy boys right here, some squishy bros. There is a lot of compression going on underfoot, which feels very, very nice. I haven't had anything this squishy on in a while. I think since the AG Wales 2. All right, good day to everyone. I hope you're doing well. As you can see from the title and the packaging, we got us a Croc. Another Croc model here to add to the playlist. I'm slowly starting to acquire more like Adidas and stuff, but Crocs still reign supreme as far as the amount of Croc videos I have on the channel versus any other brand, which makes sense because they kind of birthed the channel, so to speak. All right, we got the Inmotion Clogs in the Moth Colorway. I thought they looked pretty cool. So I had stumbled upon these when I was at the DSW like a month ago, a few weeks ago, filming a couple shorts. I picked these up and did a short on them, and that short gets crazy views. So I figured I would just order them and do the review because they were pretty comfortable too. But these are apparently very popular at the moment. So they are extremely comfy though. They've got the Literide footbed, so I get it why they're super popular. And the Crocszilla upper is very thin too. So some people kind of complain about how clunky normal Crocs are, so I imagine getting into this thinner Crocszilla upper makes them not so clunky, for lack of a better term. So I do have them pulled up on the website. I just went with my standard size. I ordered these in a 12. I think that's the size that I ended up trying on at the DSW, and the 12s were good. So let me read the little bit of a write-up. We'll show some photos. All right, so these retail for $59.99. They do accept coupons for this model. I was able to utilize the discount code they sent me when I had purchased those Trailblaze 2, that 20% off discount. So I plugged that in when I ordered these, and it knocked it down. I think I paid like $48 or something for them. So it was under $50 with the coupon code. Otherwise they retail for $59.99. They've got a few different color options. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but you've got a good amount, like 8 or so. All right, product details. Inmotion Clog. Enjoy exceptional comfort and ease in these new clogs that combine two of our most innovative technologies, Literide and FreeFeel technology. The premium Literide foam footbed delivers support and cushioning where your feet need it most, and the soft, flexible FreeFeel technology upper feels like nothing at all, floating on top of your foot and moving with you without restriction. With this blend of premium technologies and a sporty design, you'll enjoy casual style and enhanced comfort wherever life takes you. Inmotion Clog details. Athletically inspired for your on-the-go lifestyle. Feels like nothing at all. FreeFeel technology upper. Pivotable FreeFeel technology backstrap for a secure fit. Premium Literide foam footbed that's super soft, incredibly lightweight, and extraordinarily resilient. Fully molded Crocszilla outsole offers lightweight durability, Literide revolutionary sink-in softness, innovative comfort. All right, that was a lot. They have a 4.2 star review with 106 reviews. So it looks pretty positive. 67% of respondents would recommend this to a friend. All right, so let's check them out in hand and throw them on foot and see how these do. So they're pretty standard looking. Let me raise this up a little. In terms of just a general Croc look, you know, they still kind of give off the Croc vibe. We've got our mule design with the back strap, and this FreeFeel foam is a little softer. It feels like the back strap is made of the same FreeFeel foam. And then they mention it's just a standard cross-light outsole. So I kind of like the outsole pattern here. We've got these little kind of, they're not a cone, but it's almost like a little pyramid, little four-sided pyramid within the tread. There's our injection point for the outsole. And we've got these wave patterns that kind of break up the that pyramid pattern. There's a little cut in the center there with a Crocs logo, and I feel that Literide through there, which is kind of cool, having a little window there. Reminds me of like the little air pockets on like Jordans and stuff, you know, just a little window. And there's our sizing. I went with the 12s. And there's our Literide footbed, which is probably one of my more appreciated footbeds that Crocs provides, or appreciative footbeds, I should say. The Literide and the Echo footbeds are probably the best. The Cross-Lite can be okay, but it doesn't compare to these. These have an extra level of compression and comfort with them. So it looks like the ergos are pretty good. Doesn't look too aggressive, but we can see we've got a little bit of an arch rise right here, and it's a little elevated at the heel. We've got a little bit of a heel cup, and there's a little bit of a toe groove up there too, and it looks like it's kind of a standard 4-foot design. It curls a little bit up at the toes, but it's not too aggressive, and it's a relatively flat outsole pattern to it, minus that little curve at the front at the toes. So we don't have a rocker effect, and we can see our Literide through there as well. So that's a pretty thick bed of Literide. If we're able to feel it all the way down, though this part might come inward a little bit as like an insert in this window, but it's coming down at least this far, so we've got a good solid inch of Literide. So the compression should be pretty good. I don't know if you can fit any gibbets in these. You could probably squeeze a few in there. This material feels soft enough that it should flex. You can probably wedge a gibbet in it or two. So I kind of like the variation of size within those ventilation holes. They're pretty clean except for that one there. There's a little skin on those. But they look pretty clean otherwise. Let's look at the other one real quick. Yeah, about the same, little bit of skin up there, but the rest of them look pretty good. So, and that's super soft material, this feel-free technology. So I like that Crocs is innovating and moving forward with their designs, because we still have a pretty classic Croc look, love it or hate it, but these are almost entirely new materials. The Literide's kind of old, but just compared to like a classic Croc, you know, this is pretty renovated version of the classic Croc, you could say. All right, let's throw them on foot. All right, I am not Canadian, by the way. I just enjoy accenting words sometimes. I've been teased before, by the way, I say mountain. I think I'm supposed to say mountain, not mountain. Mountain? But hey, we have our own accent in the north. All right, so let's hang on. Let's just go sport mode first, and we'll get a sport mode impression, and I mean casual mode or non-sport mode. I don't know what it's called. We'll get a non-sport mode impression first, and then we'll go sport mode. That way we're getting a better sizing impression, because the strap can kind of push your foot forward sometimes. The straps can often be a little too tight or a little too loose, so we'll just gauge our impression, our slide and impressions without the strap. So these 12s feel pretty good. Just slide in. I've got a little bit of room in the toes there, and the width is pretty standard. These feel a little more narrow than your classic Croc. Let me grab the oranges, and we will compare them real quick. So it's semi-relative. It feels a little more narrow than the classics, but it's pretty relative. Yeah, I got more space in the classics. But these are soft enough though, that I think if your foot was even a little wider, you would still be fine with it stretching out. But these are a little more narrow than the classics. I haven't had these classics on in a while and they make me want to wear them. All right, the ones that started it all. All right, the addiction, the hardcore addiction. All right, so back to the Inmotion. These are squishy. These are some squishy boys right here, some squishy bros. There is a lot of compression going on underfoot, which feels very, very nice. I haven't had anything this squishy on in a while. I think since the AG Whales 2. The Jokers weren't as squishy, but I think the AG Whales were the last time I had anything underfoot that was this squishy. And I think those little windows are aiding in the squish factor too. Those little cuts, because it allows the material to expand out and down with those cuts, you know? So there's a lot of compression happening under heel. So if you're looking for something extremely squishy, these are them. These are pretty squishy. So there's a good amount of texture in that footbed that I feel underfoot, just standing. We might as well take a sock off now. No sense in waiting. So that texture is a little more pronounced underfoot, barefoot. I feel it a little more, but it's not aggressive. It's not an adissage pin bed footbed. It's pretty, you know, it's all the same Literide material, so it's still very, very squishy and feels okay underfoot. Little light massage, but not too bad. Let's walk in them a little bit. So we established that the width is a little more narrow than standard Crocs, but they still have a pretty good width to them. I don't feel like they're narrow on my foot at all. They are sufficient as far as the width goes. So I think the sizing is good. I would say these run true to size. They have a little more weight to them than the classic Crocs. They just feel like it's probably the Literide footbed. Has a little more like rubber density, a little more weight to it than just the classic Croc model. So I notice when they are not in sport mode, I'm kind of having to hold on to them a little bit. There's a little more flex, I think, happening in the material on top, to where it's not holding on to my foot as much as like the classic material. I don't recall having to try to hold Crocs down with my toes in the classic models, but something about these. And it's a little more so with the sock version than it is the barefoot version. The barefoot version seems to be just naturally kind of holding on a little more, where the sock version is a little sliding a little more. So let's go ahead and throw our straps on. Let's see if that resolves that issue, which I'm sure it will. And here, let me take these tags off carefully. Even if I decide I don't want to keep these, I can still put this back together. So give me one second, un momento. All right, we'll just dive into the down low footage. So that strap is holding them on pretty good. I don't feel like I gotta hold them with my toes anymore. So the sport mode is sporting. So these are pretty good. I'm digging them. Digging the compression. That strap does push my foot forward a little more. I'm reaching towards the end of the toe bed there, but I can always stretch that out a little bit. Hit it with some heat and pull it back a little bit. That'll stretch it out if I feel like it's pulling my foot in too much. But other than that, they're basically just Crocs, you know. It's a little narrower of a model. Oh, what's that one model? There's the Post Malone Crocs. I forget what model those are. Those have a little narrower of a footbed. These are kind of relative to that. I can't think of the name of that model. It'll come to me in a second. So that's probably aside from the footbed having that Literide, just the general shape of it being a little more narrow is really the only other thing that stands out. I mean, all the materials are different, of course, you know, but I'm just thinking in terms of like initial impressions of like what's standing out mentally as I walk in these. Yeah, I still can't think of that model, but so these are relative to the Post Malone Crocs as far as like their width goes. It's not as wide as a standard Croc, but I like that top material. It is a little more comfortable than the Crocszilla on top. It feels a little more malleable, a little softer. I wouldn't say it's like a vanishing feel, because they kind of advertised it like you don't feel it on top of your foot. I still feel material on top of my foot, but I guess it is a little more subtle in its impression on top. So the ventilation feels sufficient. I haven't had them on foot that long, but it feels like I'm getting some okay ventilation in it. I don't know, this might feel a little more sweaty than your standard Crocs, but it might just be that material. Not that it's not ventilating enough, but just it's that that material is a little closer to the top of my foot. Whereas your classic Croc, I usually have a little larger of a gap in between this top and where my foot is. So I don't have as much contact with the classic Crocs on top of foot as I am feeling with these. So just something worth noting. But yeah, these are pretty good. So I guess if you want a little softer of a Croc that is a little narrower of a fit, you might appreciate these. They do have a different look about them also. I think the top ventilation kind of makes it stand out. I think the most visually identifiable feature of your classic Crocs are the gibbet holes. You know, everybody recognizes the big gibbet holes. Where these are kind of a different look, having the smaller, more of like a perforated hole across the top. So these do have a different visual impression, I would say. At least top down, but from the side, they still look like your standard Croc. But I mean, there's so many models out there now that are relative in their design. Like if you're trying to stay away from a traditional Croc look, you know, these I think are providing a different aesthetic, you could argue. So these are pretty decent. I like them. I'll probably keep them. I don't need them. As you can see, I've got too much foam in my possession already, but I kind of like these. I think I need them. In terms of the library, I don't call it a collection, I call it a library, because we use them as reference resources, not necessarily collectibles. They are used for reference. So we are building an encyclopedia of the foam shoe world with the Crocszilla channel. That is one of the objectives of the channel, is to build and maintain an encyclopedia of the foam shoe world. In directory, an encyclopedia and directory of the foam shoe world. So I get lots of inquiries and comments asking about sizing information, and I can resort to the directory. People want to know a size detail about something, I go and I throw them on foot right there and answer the question. So we are building a directory here. So we shall keep the Inmotion Crocs for the directory, for the encyclopedia. All right, I'm just rambling at this point. I can't think of anything else I need to say about these. They're pretty good. I dig them. They're very squishy, very soft. They fit true to size. I would go with your standard Croc size, unless you need more width. Then you might want to go up a size, but if you're cool with your standard Croc size, And classic Crocs fit a little wide on you to begin with. I think you're okay going with your standard true to size with the Inmotions. We are on a little bit of a walk with Bing Shiling on this nice June day, June 5. Figured I'd go for a walk with the Inmotion. I threw these on for the day after I reviewed them earlier. Thought I'd get some more time on foot, and I had to do some labor for my mother. So while I was there, I figured I would grab Stella and go for a little bit of a walk. Get a little more time on foot with the Inmotion. So just having worn them since the review earlier, these do run a little small as far as Crocs go, the Croc models. These kind of fit like an 11. So depending on how roomy you like your Crocs, you might want to size up. If I were to repurchase these again today, I would probably, well, I'd probably go try them on in a 13 first because I had them at the DSW. I'd go and see how the 13s fit, and if they provided the space that I am looking for, I would probably upsize into a 13 on these, just for some supplementary sizing information there. Like, they're not terrible, I just like a little extra room in the toes. And when I've got the strap on, it pushes my foot forward just a ½ inch there, and then I kind of lose the toe room that I have. So they're still okay. I just, having worn them now for a little more time, I probably would have sized up to a 13. But other than that, these are actually really comfortable. I kind of really like them. I like the Literide. We'll get some down low footage of them. So this moth color is pretty neutral. The blue Cross-Lite outsole is a little more pale than it looks in the photos. I noticed the images on the Crocs website, both of these colors looked a little more saturated in the images. And then when you get them, it's that moth, kind of like a pale beige, that moth color. And then, I forgot to bring a baggie. Stella is pooping again. It's kind of that pale beige, and then that blue is rather pale too. I'm not sure what they call that. It's not like the nightfall, but I know they've got a set name for that blue too, but it's almost like a blue-green. It's a cool color. I think it looks a little more saturated on the website. Come on, Stella. Getting hit by cars. We don't want that. But as far as the comfort though, these are pretty good. I like them. And I get why that short that I had uploaded got so many views. I can see why these are so popular. Because they are pretty comfy, pretty lightweight. I think this will be like a good summer model to wear. So I think half of the issue with these is the width. The fact that they're a little more narrow than the regular Crocs, I think, is kind of part of what's crowding my toes. That and the strap is pulling it forward a little bit. So all I really have to do is just stretch out that back strap a little more, and it'll allow my foot to slide back a little bit. But just the fact that this model is narrower than your standard Croc, I think is kind of impeding in the traditional toe box space. And that's partly why I'm experiencing like a smaller fit with these. Possibly. That, or they're just smaller. That happens with Croc models too. Some are just smaller than others. But they're pretty comfy though. I'm digging them. I think they'll be a nice casual throw-on model for the summer. We'll see how they do barefoot. I just wore them with socks today just because. So yeah, that's one thing. If you've got wider feet, you'll probably want to size up. I'd go up. If you're on a half size, you might want to go up size and a half. But then again, with the material being so kind of flexible, you might be okay if you don't mind kind of stretching it out a little bit. I don't know. It depends on the individual, I guess. Everybody's foot is different. Like, it's hard for me to give definitive sizing information because what works with my feet might not work for another person's feet, you know? So I can just I can only provide like a rough understanding based on my own feet. But based on my experiences, if your feet require a little more width, and the fact that these are a little narrower as far as Crocs go, that means you might want to size up. Possibly, you know. I'll leave that up to you. Alright, I just had some final thoughts I wanted to share. I wore these for the rest of the day after the walk barefoot. So I just wanted to show you, I'm getting a little bit of a rubbing right there on the top of my foot from this edge right there. So you can see it. I'm not getting it anywhere else. I'm not getting it on the other shoe either. It's just on the right, just on that little edge right there. So I don't know if it's just a matter of break-in. It's not terrible, but it's noticeable that there's some rubbing going on there. And two, these are sweaty when you're wearing them barefoot. I didn't experience it when I had the socks on because the socks were probably moisture wicking things, but my feet were pretty sweaty and slimy in these later on in the day when I had them on. It was pretty warm today. I got up in the 80s, but that's just a noticeable feature that I don't experience on the regular Crocs. And I think what it is the fact that they don't have the water drain holes on the side like on your normal Crocs, because this allows like airflow to get in at a lower level and allows a lot more moisture to escape and a lot more just airflow to enter and exit the Croc, having these water drainage holes on the side. Whereas with these Literides or Inmotion, you don't have any airflow on the side. You just have the airflow on the top. So it contains a lot of the moisture and the sweat that just naturally occurs when you're wearing foam shoes barefoot. So not having those drainage holes on the side makes them a little sweaty and stuffy. So they're still really comfortable. I still really like them. I'm going to keep wearing them. The sizing is getting a little better. This back strap is starting to stretch out a little more, so my foot's not forced forward so much. So I'm pretty content with the size 12. I don't think I need a 13. But that's probably the only negative takeaway right now, is just that they're a little sweaty. A little sweaty, a little slimy. So depending on how much your foot sweats, you might have some sweaty feet wearing these, but I still recommend them. I still like them. I think they're good. I still dig them. They're very comfortable. I just wish they had a little more ventilation on the sides. Like if I could improve one thing about them or change one thing about them, it would be some sort of ventilation on the sides. Or just a different, you know, maybe carry these holes all the way down instead of just having them on the top. I think Cane does that. Let me grab a Cane real quick. I haven't worn these. I still don't know if I'm going to resell them yet or not. So Cane, they bring it all the way down, as you can see. So it kind of acts just like the drainage holes on the side of the Crocs. It lets air flow in at the lower angles also to help things evaporate and stuff. So just something worth noting. But other than that, I really don't have any complaints about these. I kind of like them. I'm kind of digging these. I can see why they're popular. Why people are checking them out. So, all right. Yeah, so I don't have too much additional information to provide with this extra little walk clip. All right, so that does it for the Inmotion Clog from Crocs. These are pretty good. I don't really have any negatives about them. I think they're innovative as far as Crocs go. I like to see them doing these different things. Not necessarily a different design. Looks a lot like a standard Croc, but they're kind of utilizing some different materials and some different supportive approaches, you could say, with this free feel upper and the Literide footbed. So these are very supportive as far as their ergonomics go. I used to add like walking segments to most of my videos last year when it was warmer, so that's something I kind of got away from over the summertime, and the walks became their own separate videos. So I might start incorporating little walk sections in the classic or the standard review videos now, just to provide a little more time on foot if they're models that I keep. But I'm still gonna have like the initial indoor unboxing section just in case they don't work out. I can send them back clean instead of tarnishing them outdoors, you know. But models that I do end up keeping, I can try to do little walk sections for it, little walk segments. And they're affordable, I would say. They're not super expensive. So they're within means of other Crocs in terms of their price point, so they're pretty good. I do recommend them. If I have any other thoughts and opinions, I'll make some notations or we'll insert some footage throughout the video while I'm editing. But so I think that's all I really have to add about these. They're pretty good. I like them. They're very comfortable. They're more comfortable than normal Crocs. They're just a little, the sizing and the fit is just a little different with them. Like the sizing, not so much as the fit. They're just narrower. So something to keep in mind. They're not as wide as your standard classic Croc model. And I would say the sizing is kind of relative to like the band Crocs, like the bayaband, because they seem like they're a little smaller than the classics, but not a whole lot. Maybe just like a half size smaller. So these kind of fit like an 11.5, not so much like a 12 or an 11, because I feel like I have a little more space than an 11. So these are kind of an 11.5, like a half size down. So that's good for some people that want a more specific like half size fit. But yeah, I think that's it. We'll wrap it up. Aside from that, thanks again for watching. Please like and subscribe. Leave your comments below. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment below on your thoughts and opinions with the Inmotion Crocs, on your thoughts and opinions regarding the Inmotion Clog from Crocs. And we shall see you all in the next one, the Inmotion Clogs. And we will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Take care. See ya. Cheers. Take care.